It is the Two Guys Garage Podcast. He is Kevin Bird. I am Willie B. And man, we're talking about something today that makes both myself and Kevin super ecstatic. There's one show that we both can just come to the middle of the table and agree that it is by far the greatest automobile show on earth. It is unlike anything you could ever attend, you could ever see, you could ever plug yourself into. Every aspect of the automobile is exploded in ways you can never wrap your head around, from how to work on it, tools to take care of it, things to make it bigger, stronger, faster than what it was. SEMA is an unbelievable experience. It's something I strongly believe every automotive enthusiast should make it a part of their bucket list. And it's now open to the general public on Fridays, which makes that possible. However, you got to see it. Kevin, you know, you got to watch me experience SEMA for the first time, and my reaction is similar to today when I walk in. I'm just like, oh my God.
Your reaction was the same as mine, which I guarantee you is pretty much the same as anybody that's listening would walk on that floor. And like you said, it doesn't matter how many times you've been. Every time we walk in those doors, it's just jaw drops on the floor, right? Like the giddy feeling comes in. You know that you're in for a great time because you can just scan around. I mean, think about like when you're a kid, you walk into Disney World and you can see half the rides out there. And you know they just keep going and going and going. And today is going to be like the most fun day of your life for a car guy.
Yeah.
That's it. That's SEMA right there.
Yeah, absolutely. But I will tell you, SEMA has a dark underbelly. And today in the podcast, we have Tom Gattuso. Tom is the vice president of events. He's going to lay layers open, exposed to what's coming down the pipe as far as technology, crazy cool events, things that you wouldn't believe, all kinds of things this year, from new product showcase, future tech studio, collision repair and refinishing on stage. We're going to get into all of that today, but I'll tell you about the dark underbelly of SEMA and the one thing that will happen if you attend SEMA. And it's unfortunate. It's an unarticulated consequence of plugging yourself into some of the most insane builds, some of the most unbelievable craftsmanship. You will look at either your car or other cars at your local car shows with complete and utter disrespect, because you have just laid witness to some of the most unbelievable cars and metalwork and finish work and combinations and wild and weird personalization and modernization of crazy cars in every application across the spectrum of, you know, brands and brand loyalty. There's lineage that gets just trashed. There's, you know, pedigree that gets slaughtered. There's, you know, this constant vibe and energy to put something weird and something different and showcase it with crazy paint. And it just explodes every year in every shape, form, and fashion and definition of art and performance. It really is amazing.
No doubt it will skew your perspective on automotive life, right? Like you said,
you'll think your car's ugly, man.
Yeah. Yeah. and you go to
ugly.
A car show, you go to all the car shows you normally go to and go, wow, wow, wow. At least for a little while, you'll come back with a slightly different edge. Like,
dude, it happens.
You haven't
while
seen
you're
what
there.
I've seen. Yeah.
There are cars that you could take to your local show and just disrupt the normal winners, you know, turn their heads upside down. You could win all kinds of local show stuff, right? But you see them at SEMA and you just go, yeah, that's an awesome 69 Camaro with a really cool LS swap, or, you know, some power adder and cool interior. That's great. But did you see this over here?
Yeah.
It's amazing. And Tom, you gotta play witness to that and understand that mechanism, because people are blinded by the creativity, the subtle yet cool interpretations and modern interpretations of what technology has done to cars and to builds. And you've seen it all as many years as you've been there. It's been fascinating, I imagine, for you.
For sure. And for me, my job's pretty easy. Like, all we're doing is building the environment and letting it sort of happen. And when these cool builds come, and we've got builds that have got thousands and thousands of man hours in them.
Yeah.
And we're really just this incubator of ideas when you get down to what is the SEMA show. It's two things. It's this incubator of ideas, and it's this connection machine that takes two people who have either share a passion or a customer and another person that really just want to start to share ideas, and it's this really cool exchange of all that.
It really is it's all of that. It's a crescendo of all things creative, performance, wild paint, crazy new technology, and you always walk away with some wow factors. And we're gonna get into some of those wow factors next. What's new at SEMA? What's next at SEMA? What's some of the wow factors you've seen over the years? Can't wait to get into it. It's the Two Guys Garage podcast. He's Kevin Bird, I'm Willie B, and we're back after the break. It is the Two Guys Garage podcast. He is Kevin Bird. I am Willie B. We have Tom Gattuso on. Tom, you've been with SEMA for forever. You've seen it really just morph into this crazy experience. For you, give us a little background. How did you initially get plugged into it years ago? And how have you seen it grow? Because it wasn't just a couple of years ago, you saw brands like Ford and Toyota leave, but what happened, to me, it became a whole new creative space for so many new and upcoming types of supporting cast for the automotive industry that it was really vibrant, really cool. And you see changes like this throughout. Tell us how you first sort of got plugged into SEMA. What was it that made you so addicted to it? You want to become such a part of it?
Yeah, so for me, it was right place, right time. I had a background in events. I've been really lucky. I've been doing automotive events for almost 30 years. Okay. And they've all, they started with me doing auto shows and then doing off-road events. Oh, cool. And I was just right place, right time, where SEMA was looking for a trade show director, and they were trying to evolve the show to a certain extent. And my background had been like starting some events or doing smaller events and growing them. So, starting the San Jose Auto Show or the New Mexico Auto Show and things like that. So I wasn't adverse to trying new things. And the year I came in was 2011. And they had already the concept of doing the SEMA cruise. But as I came in, one of the things that the guy that I work for, Peter McGillivray, he said, hey, the one thing we have to make sure we do this year is we have to be able to do the SEMA cruise. Don't let anyone talk us out of it. And it was one of those things where if you looked at it from a trade show nerd perspective, and I feel like I'm a trade show nerd, I study the trade show industry. The last thing you want to do when you're moving out one of the largest shows in the country is have a bunch of people watch it happen and bring them all there. But what's happened is over the last 14 years, it's evolved into this really cool thing where there's hundreds of millions of media impressions that happen, and everyone that's in a car's got a camera going and they're posting all that content. And that's just one thing of the evolution. So I'm lucky in that I came into something that had been sort of evolving, and I just got to be a seat at the table as it was happening and really giving my expertise on how we can continue to grow it. But
we've done that. Kevin and I have done that. So we did it in a car.
Yeah, second year.
Yeah, the first year. Like it was the craziest. It was the coolest cluster F we've ever been a part of in our lives, because people were overheating. There was no traffic control. It was like, just make your way to the Ferris wheel and we'll meet you down there.
Yes.
It was so feral and so wild and so old school, but it was so awesome. And the people's looks and aspects coming from the streets and the cars that were, able to get through in traffic, it was an unbelievable experience. And we laughed. I, honest to God, think the whole hour it took us to get that 2 mile, pace it was, we just laughed the entire time because it was so dynamic. And we knew we were being part of history in that regard, because it had never been done. It was wild. Everybody was like, I can't believe this is happening. And everybody was, just in awe with what was happening and how it was happening. That was something I'll never forget. I think I had the experience of driving my Charger out a couple years ago, which was amazing too. And it's gotten much, much better, but it's something we will never, ever, ever forget.
Yeah. And it's like you said, at the time you felt like it was part of history, because I've been going for over 20 years, and, back then it was industry only. So, right, if you had some piece of the business and whatever, you could get in, and it was great. But everybody sit on the outside going, what's going on in there? What do you got in there? I hear so many things. I see pictures coming out and media coming out, but, why can't I have a piece of it? And that year is when they kind of opened it up and said, you know what? We're going to take what's inside and we're going to put it on the street and drive it. Right? It's not going to be on trailers and all that stuff. right? We're driving it out to an event. People can interact with it at a location. It was super cool. Like you said, I mean, logistics of going through Las Vegas can always be sketchy. I know, was it last year? It was the F1 race. So they had the Formula One track all over the place, but totally worth it. And now we've kind of made it part of SEMA is how do you bring, not just the guy manufacturing the parts, the buyer, right, distributing the parts. So now you've got the customer pretty much all mingling in one place. And I think that's a magical combination when you can let that ecosystem, right, mix and grow. And it's like you said, the conversations you can have, the business that you can do, the inspiration that you get, the connections that you make, all of those happen in this super cool, fishbowl of sort. And it's really kind of grown and expanded over the years. It's been really fun to watch.
No, you're absolutely right, Kevin. And not a lot of shows have what you just identified, those three levels of manufacturing, distribution, and end user all in one place. And it was something that we've been working on for the better part of 15 years. We started this in 2007 when there was an overhauling studio in the parking lot. And,
hey, that was me.
There was a point where you used to... okay, perfect. Yeah. But it was like we always had this passion that we were trying to capture. But then we started our SEMA Cruise and SEMA Ignited after that. And then during COVID, what we found was the line of communication between end user and manufacturer became more and more streamlined. And that was the thing where we had canceled our show for the first time ever. And it's not awesome when you're the trade show person and you have to cancel the first SEMA show ever. That was a long year. But when we came back, we said, okay, now that we've had this year off, like what is the marketplace looking for? And has their need changed? And it used to be very strict B2B, and you would get dressed up in a blazer or a suit and tie or something, and you would wait to write your orders. But the marketplace has changed. The way we transact is different. And the end user is now part of the conversation a lot of times. So we've built this thing that I like to really, in simplistic levels, think of it as just this gigantic industry homecoming where we've added all these dimensions of this marketplace. And this year we're going to do something even bigger where we're going to take it to a global platform and we're going to live stream all 31 hours of the show. And we're essentially going to have a 31-hour long live television show where we're going to be able to take what's happening at the show to the people domestically and internationally that can't come. And I think what it's going to do is it's going to shine this light on our industry that's never been shined before at this intensity level. And it's going to increase the amount of people that come to Las Vegas, which is going to increase the business that our companies do. More innovation, more passion. The industry is just going to really leverage that and just catapult itself forward. So I'm excited because I get to be the air traffic controller. I don't fly the planes, but there's a lot of cool planes coming into our airport.
So is it going to be immobile? Are you going to stream certain aspects of SEMA? Are you going to have a stationary sort of setup? Or is it going to be where, hey, today we're going to show you this experience of SEMA out of the parking lot, this is happening, and then on stage later, this is going, and the Ring Brothers are going to debut their new build coming up next. Is it going to be like that, or is it going to be a stationary point where people just have an overcast and just see the macro level of SEMA?
No, it's going to be the first thing you described. Yeah, we're going to have like it's kind of an anchor desk, and then we're going to have two roving reporters that are going to be able to cover the stuff inside the show and outside the show. Wow. And we'll be able to do interviews. And it's going to be, when the Super Bowl happens, it's going to be kind of like the ESPN sports desk, but this is going to be our SEMA Live.
That's going to be awesome. Pretty incredible and challenging because Willie and I have filmed the SEMA Show for Speed Channel for years. Our production company has done it over and over and over again. And we struggle every year within our 1 hour. Now, you have quite a few more, but in our 1 hour SEMA special, we feel like we just barely scratch the surface, right? So you got a big challenge on your hands on how much stuff is there. And I don't care how many days, right? If you do the full 3-4 days and you just start huffing and you just go down the aisles and you try to be as efficient as you can, you're only going to get like a quarter of the way through this thing. It is so huge with so many different halls and wings and what's going on in the front parking lot, the back parking lot, what events are happening. But at least you've got some time on your hands, right? You've got some hours to work with and you can do your best, right? You can try to get out all the elements, but at least if you get the top ones, you're going to get people connected. They're going to get that vibe. So pretty cool. That'll be fun to watch.
Hey, and you should
it's gonna be great.
You should give away cool, I don't know, passes or entries to after SEMA parties or whatever to people that can guess the number of steps your roving reporters do in a day.
Yeah.
Because I got to tell you, man, you have an unbelievable amount of real estate to cover with that new hall across the way with there last year. It was awesome, huge, another footprint there at SEMA. It's amazing that real estate and just the acreage that is the SEMA show now is unbelievable. And I think, man, showing all that is going to be quite a task on your behalf. And man, I hope those roving reporters have some good dogs because their feet are going to be hurting. They always do.
No, for sure. And it's one of those things where we've compartmentalized the show to a certain extent. There's 12 different sections. So, if you're coming for the truck and off-road industry as an example, you can kind of stay in one area. And I always say make sure you allot time to go and explore because that's really where it all happens. It's just kind of walking around.
What kind of car person?
That's where so many wows happen.
Yeah, what kind of car person's going to go to one section? You got to see them all, man. I'm just telling you. Because you're going to go to your section, whatever you think is cool or hot, whatever your business, and then you're going to look over at the next one and be like, damn, what's going on over there? And then it just repeats and repeats because every section has just mind-blowing, jaw-dropping, one thing after another. Just like Willie said in the beginning, everything, the bar is so high, you've never seen anything at that level before, and you have to go check it out.
Well, it's not
and this is where it happens. Like, this is where the future of automotive is getting dictated.
And what's amazing is it's not just the cars, right, that are so wow factor. It's the supporting cast. Remember when you walked into SEMA last year, there was that setup where it could give you the perfect picture, where they had that really tricked out Roadrunner, and it was all white, and it folded, and it had a 360 stage that turned, and it was the perfect stage, or whatever. All these crazy power add-ons or cool interior stuff or new technology for your car. It's amazing just the swell of things that you could see, find, and apply to your car, your build. Last year we watched it was the first time I've ever seen them, but you want your Tesla to actually make a sound. There were a few booths that actually had that happening, and people were, you love it or hate it, people were stuck there the entire time. It was nuts to see the response to that and how people were thinking. There were interactive booths, more interactive booths now than ever before. Maybe we got to take a break, so we're up against the wall, but maybe when we come back on the other side, why don't you walk us through this year's SEMA, what you think maybe will be some of the biggest surprises? Some of the, you said it is broken up into 12 sections. Maybe walk us through some of those sections, what you feel are like going to be some highlights, and what's new to SEMA 2024, because there's always things you hear about when SEMA's around the corner, and there's always things that people get excited about. So maybe you can be the first to share some of that insight with us. I think we both Kevin and I would be stoked to hear some of that.
Great. Look forward to it.
All right, man. It's the Two Guys Garage Podcast. Kevin Bird, Willie B, and we're back after the break. It is the Two Guys Garage Podcast. He is Kevin Bird. I am Willie B. And we're talking SEMA 2024. We had Tom Gattuso on. And I'm excited, man. I know every year SEMA just comes with this something a little different each and every year. You never know what it's going to be. It could be something like music, like it was last year, a big festival, which is wild. That was something everybody was talking about. It could be, that crazy sort of parade that takes place. It could be, the fact that it's now open to, just general public on the last day of the event. Or it could be some of the crazy builds that show up. SEMA over the years for us, man, it's heaven. As a car guy, it is heaven. For 4 or 5 days, it is like nothing else. We're just, we have to work sometimes, but Kevin and I, no joke, we'd be like, yo, I'm going to go see this car. I'm going to go see this car. Well, let's go see this car. Let's go talk to the Ring Brothers. Let's go do this. So it is it's amazing on every level. So that's got to be a lot of pride in the fact that how closely you're tied to that, how closely those wow factors and that amazing energy that comes from SEMA still after so many years just wows us all. What is it about SEMA this year that you think is going to be talked about next year? What is it that you see as big wows? And matter of fact, it might be cool over the years you've been doing SEMA. What's been your wildest year? Was it the year back from after COVID where we took a year off? Was it that year? Because I think that year had a lot more energy than people were expecting and people thought. I thought that I showed this car at that SEMA, and it was busy, and the energy was an attitude I thought was really cool, and like we're back, baby, really exciting. What has there been a standout year for you? And then tell us what's new for 2024.
Yeah, so I'm an operations guy at my core, a trade show nerd by definition, and so each one has its own thing. And certainly in 2011, when we started the SEMA cruise, like that was definitely a monumental thing. It was my very first year. But in 2014, when we started SEMA Ignited at the Link, like you guys said, 2017, when we were the first show after the tragedy at Mandalay Bay, and we had to figure out an upgraded security plan and how to have 165,000 people all be in one place. 2021, the first citywide show really at the scale we were at to come back to Las Vegas. And that year we were the highest attended trade show in the country, and then backed it up, a second year in 22 and looking like that for 23. So each year has its own thing. And if I were to put my finger on something this year, I'd say that this concept that we've had of SEMA Fest, that is really this evolution of SEMA Ignited, we're bringing it onto the campus. So it's more of a music focus than SEMA Ignited used to be, but we're still going to be able to have it be part of the SEMA show by having it on campus. So that part's really cool. And we've announced those bands. We're going to have Cage the Elephant, Sublime, Fits in the Tantrums, and PDY are going to be our Friday night entertainment. But when you build a stage as a trade show nerd, you try to figure out other ways you can use it. So we came up with this concept that's just for the industry, called Industry Night. And it's going to be Industry Night at SEMA. It's going to be in the same place as SEMA Fest, but it's going to be a completely different event that really is only open to the attendees and exhibitors of the SEMA show. And we haven't announced the music lineup, and they really barely let me out of my operations cage, if you will. So I like to break all the rules. So we haven't made an announcement on bands, but let's go ahead and do that. Let's say Goo Goo Dolls are going to be our headliner for Industry Night at SEMA. OAR is going to be the band that leads into them. And then Rainwolf is going to be our opening band. So that's going to happen Tuesday night. And it's really going to set this exclamation point on the first day of our show. And really what we're hoping for is after you've done all this business on the show floor, you'll be able to gather with the community of automotive enthusiasts and really celebrate all that together. It's a ticketed event. We're going to announce all this stuff on the 15th. But you heard it here first, if you will. And we're excited to be able to bring that. But we've also got like all the innovation. There's incredible builds that are coming. We've got new activations that are happening outside and around the convention center.
Those have always been fascinating, by the way.
All of it.
What goes on outside a convention is a reality show in itself. You never know what you're going to see. The trucks that were out there, I swear every year they get bigger and bigger. They're going to be bigger than the actual convention center building before long. The drifting, the racing, the events that you get to plug into, the experience that is SEMA lives in the parking lot. It really does. Yeah, you get to see all the flossy and glossy on the inside. You get the wow factor, the crazy builds, the cool products. But really, the breadth of SEMA, that first wow factor, the crazy above bar, par that they're setting everything on, just what's going on, and the holy, I can't believe I'm here factor really happens in the parking lot as you walk in. Because you're just blown away. It's unlike anything in any show you've ever been to. And it continues to just be amazing every time you walk through there and think, okay, I'm here. I'm about to, crest the doors. What's going to blow me away this year? And here you are in the parking lot just mesmerized by all the attitude and energy.
Yeah, and that's a measure of success for us. Like in my mind, if you are in this industry and you walk onto campus, literally step foot on campus, and you can hear and feel and taste and smell and touch your industry, it's like, okay, we get you. Like you're here. We're all part of this whole thing. Let's just share ideas and see how far we can take this thing. And again, we're not doing anything crazy. Like I'm not dictating trends in the industry. We're just highlighting those trends that all of our manufacturers and our members of SEMA that they are doing in their garages and in their spare time and creating these businesses. So I'm just lucky that I get to be able to host this community homecoming with a talented team of people that put it together. But it's you guys. You know, if you guys weren't doing some of the innovation and all the just promoting the lifestyle and the passion that this is, we wouldn't be anywhere. So it really comes down to the industry supporting the industry. That's the coolest part of what I do.
An event standpoint, I think you guys are absolutely cheating. I mean, in a good way. You know, it's like you said, all the things that are happening besides the smells, everything on the outside before you even walk in the door, right? You know, everybody that's going there is already intent on going in anyways, and it just sucks you in like a vacuum. But it's like when you're just walking downtown and all of a sudden it's that pizzeria smell. They have to be pumping out, and or the bakery or whatever. Like that's the kind of vibe. Like you're starving like mad, and they're just pumping these delicious smells out the door to some restaurant. Like that's how SEMA is. You know, they're just pumping it out with the music, the sounds, the smell, the gasoline, the race fuel, the burning rubber, like all of it. It's just an aphrodisiac. That just puts you in a trance and just pulls you like a string through those front doors.
Cargasm.
Cargasm.
Yeah, definitely.
So with your big SEMA Fest, does it still include any of the cars from inside? Is there still a way for the people not in the industry to get glimpses of some of these rides? Or has it turned more into just the music side of things?
No, so definitely. We've got this stage now on campus at the show, and it's going to be directly adjacent to where Optima does their Ultimate Streetcar Challenge. But they're going to partner with us, collaborate with us to be able to bring some of their cool factor to this event. But all the outside area is going to be accessible all day long on that Friday, so that if you do come to SEMA Fest, you'll be able to be part of all the outside stuff that we just talked about happening. So you'll be able to see the industry in motion and be part of that. But you can also buy a ticket, and Willie mentioned this earlier, where you can buy a ticket and be able to come into the SEMA show that day as well. And it all kind of is packaged together. But when you talk about the ultimate automotive enthusiast bucket list item, if you can spend a day at the SEMA show and see all that's entailed there, and then end with awesome bands like Cage the Elephant and Sublime and Fits and the Tantrums and PDY, like that's going to be crazy. So we've created this really cool day of people that just celebrate this passion.
Yeah, I don't usually give out
with each other.
I don't give out advice very often, but anybody listening right now, if you're even just twitching a little bit, just start booking things, right? Don't let it fill up. We've been 20 plus years, Willie and I each, and man, it's worth every second that you can get in it. And especially if you're not an industry person and you have this in now, take advantage of it and go have a great time. And you're in Vegas, right? So when you've had your fill, if there's such a thing with the SEMA events, right? There you are. You're already in a fun town. I'm sure you can find things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chances are.
Chances are.
It really is, man. Watching the excitement of people off the streets that for the first time going to walk, the halls of SEMA. Look, for so many car enthusiasts, that's such a coveted thing. Like it's a prize. It's literally like, it's one of those things that for so many people, my dad's a big car guy, always been a car guy. He's like, one of these days, I'm going to make it out to SEMA. I can't wait to go. And I told him last year that it's open to the public. And he just can't, he's in disbelief. He's like, I got to get out there. Well, it's really amazing that the general public has the ability to walk through those doors. And it really, for any builders and people there, it reinforces what we do. And a great reason why we do it. Why I think this will never die. Why you see that enthusiasm, you see that energy from little kids to older guys to people that are just finding, their passion in cars. Because technology is bringing a lot of new people, I think, into this fold. They might not have been a car guy, but there's technology and people, adapt quickly to technology and take that run with technology and apply it in their worlds. And it could be cars, it could be trucks, it could be builds. Well, that brings a lot of new faces, ideas, and attitudes into the mix as well. And I think you see that when you invite the general public in. And it's been really cool and kind of sitting on like a fly on the wall, just re-energizes your belief that it's such a cool passion in what we do, and it's such a cool, unique skills that is brought to the table and is on display there at SEMA. and what you do to highlight it all. Really cool.
No, and it's just like Kevin mentioned, and he's been to 20 of these things, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who've been to a lot of them, and they keep coming back, and they've got lifelong friendships. It's an incredible homecoming for our industry.
Yeah,
and now anybody can go.
Way cool. What a great way to network, to ask ideas, to see amazing cars, and at the end of the day, be plugged into something that, every personality you watch on TV, every cool, crazy car, and every application you've ever dreamt of is on display for their, for your phone and profile pictures. So go take advantage of it. Great bands, music. This year is going to be hot, man. It's going to be a cool year, and I'm excited. Do you think it's going to break records as far as attendance? Because I feel like last year was crazy.
Yeah, we're tracking that way. It's still a little early. We're 90 days out right now, but
they're always
we're getting
good.
there. It's going to be a great event.
Well, Tom,
excited,
really
man.
appreciate your time, man. We're going to have to get you back. Any kind of updates, you let us know. We'll bring you back on, have some fun with you. Thanks for your time, man. Thanks for what you guys do at the show and everything behind the scenes. All this stuff is great. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, guys.
We appreciate it.
All right, we're going to switch some gears. Going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got a big-time producer that's been filming at the SEMA Show for over a decade. Going to get a little bit of insights from him, too, so we'll catch you back. Two Guys Garage Podcast. He's Willie B. I'm Kevin Bird. See you back in a minute.
It is the Two Guys Garage Podcast. He is Kevin Bird. I am Willie B. And now we have our boy Matt on. Matt is actually a TV producer. He's produced all kinds of cool SEMA shows. Matt, you know as well as I do, producing a SEMA show has got to be wild. Kevin and I are running around like crazy. You are with cameras and lights and action. We're always trying to find something that's cool. We're always trying to share technology, builds, products, performance, the energy and attitude that is SEMA. And that's got to be mind-bending for a producer, especially with Kevin and I, or what other talents you may be working with. I now use the term talents loosely.
Yo, absolutely. It's a talent to find what sticks out there and what's worthy, because everything's worthy. I mean, we can make a show out of going to any booth and seeing any car because they're all top notch, they're all high level.
Right.
So when you can do it with us where we're only getting to pick 10% of what we necessarily walk by, I mean, it has to be the cream of the crop. So I mean, I love the idea. Like last year, for example, you did a feature on the car out in the Toyo Tires area that actually won Battle of the Builders. I mean, of all the cars to pick, you got lucky to pick that one, but I mean, it ended up being one of the cars in the show.
Is that lucky?
That was just
or is that skill? Huh?
That's skill, man. Because hey, I saw that build and I thought it was unlike anything that I'd seen before. It was stand out, and it was. I know. It was unbelievable. So I went and grabbed Matt and a camera. I was like, I gotta do this car because it's so unique, so wild, and they did such an unbelievable job in my eyes. It really just stood out as like an unbelievable build. And Kevin, you've been there. You've seen cars that are just put together and there's something extra about them. There's something that's just extraordinary about how it all came together. And then it's got that little extra that really puts it above normal builds, And we're not talking necessarily the budget, although budgets help.
Well, it's what's really tricky on our end, as Matt kind of alluded to, there's so much there and it's so big. It's not a convention center and you can look across the floor and you can go, oh, I want to go check out that one and that one. It's multiple convention centers all tied together. So what you do is you roll in and you can only see so much and you're like, mind blow, this is the one. Oh my God. Then you walk another 50 feet down and you're like, no, it's this one. This is the top dog right here. And then the whole
and Matt's
week,
like, just pick one.
the whole week, exactly. It's like, this one's even better than that one. And so, trying to
that's Matt's job, is trying to navigate all of that and really put together a show, because there's a lot to show when it comes to SEMA, right? There's so many things.
Yeah, we're lucky the fact that we get to do a little bit of content for our show Truck U and then a little bit of content obviously with Two Guys Garage. So I mean, we get to kind of separate the two. Like it's almost like boxing fighters where you say you go on that side and handle all that stuff, and then the truck guys, you go on the truck side and handle all that. And hopefully you don't pick the same thing because there's just so much to see. But it's also a place for us to get ideas of what we want to do in the next seasons for these shows, because it's like you always see the latest and greatest Technology, different products that we can run around and go, oh my, this product would be perfect to use in a show. So that's part of what SEMA always is for us as well, is just seeing those awesome builds. But then stealing little nuggets of little things that are going on that we can incorporate in the next season of the shows.
Yeah. Do you ever see products that you want on the show? As a guy that produced the show, I mean, obviously Kevin and I are always trying to drag you guys a million different places, see a million different things. Do you guys ever see something as a producer and go, you know what? Hey, guys, come look at this and see what you think, or stuff like that? Because I imagine you have a good eye too, knowing the shows and what you got to work with.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is going to be my 19th SEMA show, so I know what stands out, and I know some of the things. Like for a while there, it was like patina builds, right? Everything's so cut beautiful and chrome and painted to the max. So if I came around a corner and saw something patina, I would want to see why is it left like that? So that kind of, I wanted to know the story behind it. But certainly, you know, there's times where we're trying to fit little categories of having a different style build that we want to see. Not everything can be a lowrider. Not everything can be an award-winning car. So we like to see all the elements of it. So there has been times where we've picked things for different reasons. Maybe it's not the best car. Maybe it's even it's a young Battle of the Builder car that just, it's a fresh builder. That's really cool too when you see the fresh builds.
Kevin, you remember the I forgot what car it was. It had 2 engines.
It was some kind of Honda.
In the front of SEMA. And it was like, Kevin and I were trying to figure it out. You know, he had one engine in the front, running the front tires, and an engine in the back, running the rear tires. But we were trying to figure out how they were synced, if they were synced, what was going on.
How do you coordinate those two things, right?
Yeah.
Somebody made it work, and they got it, and it's the best places they get it there, so that they get exposed to everybody who gets to see it.
Here's the funny thing, Matt. He didn't have it working. He ran them separately.
Oh, okay.
And then we found out he couldn't run them symbiotically yet. But that was one of the things as guys that know builds, we ask questions to builders, and we find things out because we're like, hey, that doesn't add up, or that can't work. How are you getting over this, or how are you doing that? Which are cool aspects of builds too. And Kevin, with your engineering mind, it's always fascinating to see what you're going to pick. Is it always Ring Brother type builds? Are you thrown off by some guy in his garage that may just blow you away with something amazing?
Well, I think I could walk up on almost anything at SEMA and even at a regular old car show because you're gonna have the big picture one, like the Ring Brothers. Everything on it is amazing, and all these little details, way cool, top of the top. But then you can walk up on something else, and maybe 90% of it's like whatever, and then you just find something cool, like, oh man, look at this surround you did around your exhaust tailpipe, or just some little doodad, some feature. It's something different, something new, and that just makes it a walk away type moment where you're like, wow, man, maybe that car wasn't cool, but I remember that aspect of it. That was a new thing for me to experience, to see. I liked what you did there.
Way cool. Cool, man. So, Matt, what's in it for 24 when you're looking at SEMA this year? What's going to be in the SEMA show that may be different? What's going to be a surprise? And which one of us personalities is going to be in it?
Well, we'll figure that out soon, who's able to make that trip for sure. But, I mean, part of it is honestly seeing the builds, the latest and greatest of the builds, but also seeing the new products and what people are really launching, because everybody knows that's the mecca of the place. SEMA is where they launch and make all the latest headlines of what's coming out, what's new, what kind of new technologies have changed. I mean, even going over to some of the EV areas and seeing how that technology is changing. But obviously with what we do in our shows, I mean, it's still gas. Everything's power. So we're going to see how some of those technologies are changing. And that's the way that we can really integrate clients and use things differently in our shows, where we get to show a little mix between the cars and we get to show the latest and greatest technology, because there's just no better exposure and there's no better platform for clients to show off the latest and greatest than in the SEMA show, because it's the car world Super Bowl. I mean, we all know that. You got to be at SEMA. You got to bring something new. You can't just bring like the old car you brought last year and the old product you bought last year and put it in your booth and expect any type of traffic,
Right. That's true, man. The
whole premise of SEMA, right? When you walk on the floor, the whole premise is there's so much there, and you want traffic to your booth. You want them to see your products. And so it's, look at me. Look at me. No, not him. Yeah. Look at me. So everybody is trying to outdo everybody, because you need a look at me kind of moment to get the flow going to your booth and not the other guy. And that just drives this competition from booth to booth through the whole thing, because everybody's trying to outshine to try to get your eyeballs, try to get your attention. And it's cool to watch, because There's every flavor you could want. You mentioned all these different types of builds and how it goes. And then you see, and a lot of times it's on the fly, we're starting to see the trends. So Willie be like, hey, did you see the fender flares on that car, 240Z? And you're like, yeah. And then you'll see another car with some fender flares. And all of a sudden there's another. It's like, all right, this is the fender flare year. This is what's happening. And same thing, like, whether it's turbos years back or anything else, like you start to see right out of the gate because there's so many pieces. In the real world, you wouldn't get to glimpse all that at one time. So you wouldn't necessarily pick up, you just say, oh, there's one guy with a fender flare. But at SEMA, you're starting to see. Trends. Exactly. So it's a great way to pick up on where things are going.
Yeah, last year was the year of the Bronco, right? It was like everything had, and before that it was the new Jeep. But now everything's like, I didn't know you could do so many things to a Bronco. But when you see, like before the Bronco was even released, all the first batches ended up at SEMA. So it's like, that's where you see them for the first time is there.
Yep.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's really cool if you see a vehicle you like. There's typically a lot of different flavors, and so you can get a whole lot of different ideas. Ooh, don't like that. I'm not doing that. I'm not buying those. But this and that and that, that's what I'm doing, bro. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. All right, man. Other shows that you're plugged into outside Two Guys Garage. You mentioned Truck U, the SEMA Show. What else as a producer? Give us some nods, man. And what other shows can people be seeing from the mighty Matt?
Well, we're over here at Brenton Productions. We still do, we're doing Build for Off-Road with Ian Johnson this year. So that was four-wheeler last season, and now it's Build for Off-Road. And we still have Truck U going into its 20th anniversary this year, launching on Motor Trend Network and Max. So that we're building a 20th anniversary truck for that. And then obviously Two Guys Garage kicking in and going on, and we'll never stop and just keep doing its thing and bringing in cool projects. And so with the three of those still on the docket, we stay pretty busy.
There you go, man. And check out our show. It's available on Discovery Plus and Max, along with on weekends on the Motor Trend Network. Check your local listing. Thanks to all our guests today. Thanks to our producer, Scoop, our senior producer, Justin Carter, executive producer, Bob Ecker. Thanks to our guest, Matt. He is Kevin Bird. I'm Willie B. And this, my friends, is the Two Guys Garage podcast.
Yeah, don't forget to check out our website at twoguysgarage.com. Share with us on social, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Two Guys Garage. And this Two Guys Garage podcast, it's copyrighted 2024, Brenton Productions Incorporated, all rights reserved. All right, we're going to Rochambeau who's going out to SEMA this year, or somehow we're going to make both of us work, because that's the most fun you could have right there. All right, catch you guys on the next Two Guys Garage podcast.
See you guys.